Y'all know what I miss?
What you miss?
Man, we gotta get a new introduction, man. Like I miss
What
the
happened? What happened to Unstoppable?
Unstoppable. Facebook be hating. Facebook
Oh man.
they do be hating.
Oh,
But
I was waiting. I was like, where's the music?
nah, yeah, we ain't got it. We don't have it. But I wanna welcome everyone to Bounceback Wednesdays. I am your host. I am Jamila Hanif.
I am Fatima Hanif.
And we are excited about tonight's discussion as we're just, we're going to give a recap on, this month, Child Abuse Awareness Month, Child Abuse Awareness Prevention. Okay. And our guest is she's been here before. She's been our guest before. So when she was our guest before, she was our guest, right? She was our guest. Now she would watch me grow, bounce back coach. She's just an amazing person. Share with us. Who are you?
Oh, thank you for the kind introduction. I am Kijafa James. I am a bounce back coach on the Watch Me Grow team. We started was this last year. I was a guest promoting the book, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here we are, divinely connected.
Ain't that crazy? It's crazy. Fatima, what's up?
Nothing. Hello. How are you doing?
I'm good. Let's talk about this month. This month. Like who were our guests this month? Do you remember?
Oh.
You can't think. I'm just you can't remember. You can't recall who.
Yeah, Orlando. So we had Orlando on here. Orlando Graham.
So what was Orlando on about?
So he was discussing all the things that he does in the community, and we discussed about the Easter egg, the big Easter egg event that was a wonderful turnout. It was definitely a wonderful experience. I'm happy that we was a part of it because it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I don't know who this is. Everyone but me. What happened? Oh, that was on Bounceback Wednesday. I wonder who that is. You can come on, whoever you are. Where you at? Who are you? Hey Jaffa, who was the guest? Who did you tune in to this month?
Oh my God, I was what was the young lady? That was good too. That was really, really, really a good episode. What was her name?
Jasmine.
Yeah, that was good.
That was good.
That was really good. It was very raw.
What did you like?
What I really liked about it is because the fact that you guys are sisters, so y'all grew up in the same household, right? But you had your own individual experiences. And what I liked about that particular episode is that how y'all both were able to really share your truth. And your mother was in the comments. And no, but she still, and we're all moms, right? So we all will feel that, we know when things happen and we'll be like, we're sorry. And I think sometimes when we do that, that will make our kids not want to express themselves or want to share their story because we never want to make it seem like we're talking bad about our parents, but our experience is our experience.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that doesn't mean, that they were just horrible parents or, we can all do better. So that's what I really liked about that episode was that you guys were able to speak your truth. And your mom, she was still able to hear it and you still spoke your truth. Like that's what we have to do. We have to be able to have those type of conversations. Like how will we ever heal it and kill it at the root if we're not able to express our truth, even if it doesn't feel so good. So that's what I really liked. One of the things I really liked about that particular episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was a lot. It was a lot of people chiming in that day. Cause Jasmine had experienced sexual abuse from a foster sibling. And it was just raw. It was raw and transparent, huh?
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
It was great. I enjoyed that interview.
A lot of change.
It was good.
Yeah. And then what do y'all think of Deanton, the person, the guy who was on last week?
I missed him. How did that go? I missed that one. I
You
missed
missed
him.
Deanton?
I was on in the very beginning, and then I just ended up falling asleep.
What? We put you to sleep, or you just?
No, it was it gets late for me. It was getting late. It was late. So
Yeah, Deanton had he had experienced sexual abuse in childcare by another kid, and he was just, I mean, being a man and being vulnerable like that, yeah, a lot of people were really inspired by him and wanted to share. They was, they really were. But we were that was deep. Just talking about people who have been sexually abused or touched inappropriately. How they grow up and how it seems as if that's stuff that you have to do. Um, for someone to like you. You give yourself, and give yourself. To feel a sense of belonging, right? Or importance, right? So, Child Abuse Awareness Month. Y'all ain't got y'all blue eyes? Y'all gotta represent.
Oh, that was the theme?
Child Abuse
That's the color? You should have told us.
Oh, no.
So we could have all been prepared.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. I try to work on my communication, but Kijafa, what do you do with Bounceback Wednesday? What Watch Me Grow?
So with Watch Me Grow, I am one of the Bounceback coaches. So we have individuals that signed up for the program, and we taught them about goal set, introduced them to ACEs, which is the beginning. We want everyone to be aware of their ACEs, their adverse childhood experiences, because that's just important. It's just for awareness, to be mindful, not to dwell on it, but it's just, for me, it's just creating an awareness like, okay, this happened. So maybe let me look at myself a little differently as opposed to what's wrong with me, what happened to me. And it helps create sensitivity and compassion for yourself, because we need that to even move forward, to just even get unstuck. So with the goal setting, we teach them about goal setting and then just help them identify 2 things that they want to accomplish. And everyone's goals are different, right? Everyone wants to accomplish something different. And I think it's just checking in with them and holding them accountable and giving them someone to talk to. And then we meet twice a month as a group, and we just present just different ideas, just different things we talk about, stress busters, like I said, different ways to go about accomplishing your goals, mental health, credit repair, all those things. So it all matters. And I think the important part of it is just tying, all these things to trauma awareness. Because if you don't understand your traumas, you may not understand why you mismanage your money. Everything is rooted in something else. So I just feel like we do things on the surface, and it's time to get underneath. We got to get to the root of things. We can't just keep putting Band-Aids on stuff. So I think it's by addressing the ACEs, but then still showing which was so important to me, is showing the resiliency that comes from trauma. Resiliency is not something that you just have, it's something that's built. So even in the worst circumstances, there's something that we get out of that. And that's what I find to be just great about this Bounce Back program, is just showing.
I'm sorry, it's a distraction.
Teddy James. I'm looking at the comment. But no, just showing that, yes, we've had these experiences. And that's why we tell our ACEs scores, I'm a 7, even though, the number doesn't matter as much, but just being able to connect with people and knowing hey, I got trauma too, and we're still moving. And I love it. I love it. It inspires me when people are accomplishing their goals and just even having the conversations with them. I love it.
I love just thinking about, because remember like when we were doing like the introductions in the group in the beginning, how we were gonna be like, we're gonna share our ACE score. Remember, he's gonna share, I'm a 10. He's gonna say my name is this, and I have an ACE score of a 10. And I was sharing with you guys earlier about how the doctor, one of the researchers who was connected to ACEs, how he was saying how the ACE scores aren't created equally, like so they don't impact us all the same. Just because you have an ACE score of a 10 doesn't necessarily mean that it doesn't necessarily mean that you may generate a chronic illness. Like this is because that's what it's linked to, the chronic illnesses or the different behaviors. And you have brought up risk, right, Kijafa? You remember what you were saying as far as risk?
What did I say about risk?
The risk behaviors, the risk, just how things just increase.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I think it's just about the awareness and knowing that, like, okay, I have these ACEs. I'm at an increased risk for these diseases. It doesn't mean that you have to get it. Like it's just we're not locked in to any type of disease. Like I think by understanding the ACEs, it's like, okay, this can potentially occur if I don't address these things. Like knowing that I've experienced all these, traumatic things, that I have, probably a little bit more cortisol running through my body than I should. That lets me know that I need to be more mindful of my stress levels. I need to be more mindful of what I eat and just how I live day to day, because I've got this, little secret sneaky thing that can sneak up on me. Like, because it does. I mean, if you have people having heart attacks and stuff at young ages and different things, and that's because unresolved trauma, like it just sits in there. It just sits in there. Like, remember what the body does? Keep score. It does. Right. So at a point, it can shut down. It can start shutting down. Like, if, your body just keeps being out of balance because you having these trauma responses and then it doesn't know how to get itself back into balance, then some things can happen. So I think it's about being aware, of the risk, because we can change it. We can change it. We don't have to just get diabetes. We don't have to, right?
But then thinking about also, because I was sharing earlier with you guys in the NAMI group that how the doctor was talking about the misuse of this ACEs survey, of the ACEs questionnaire. Did anybody share what ACEs is? Latima, did you share what ACEs is for those who's tuning in? And those who's tuning in, please be sure to share this. You can take a second and just share it. Share it to whatever groups you are in. This information that we do provide is some good stuff. It really is some good stuff. It'll have you do research after the show. You're gonna go and try to dig to find out more information.
As you should, everybody should, seek things for themselves. So you should do your research, Definitely.
Most definitely. And like how you said, the body keeps the score. So just imagine being a child. It doesn't start keeping score when we are adult. It starts when we're a child. So it just adds up and adds up. A child can have a heart attack, at any second, teenage, whatever age it can be, just as well. So definitely having that knowledge of how to prevent or anything of that sort is definitely important.
Yeah.
Right? So with ACEs in the three categories, right? Right? The abuse, the neglect, the dysfunctional household, right? So this month is child abuse prevention. So child abuse and neglect prevention awareness month, right? So let's hit up each one of these indicators right now. We ain't never did this before. We've never did this before. So let's really brainstorm this. And everybody that's tuning in, y'all chime in too. Chime in. First I'll hit y'all with what ACEs is. ACEs is an acronym for Adverse Childhood Experiences. So Kaiser and CDC, they conducted a study on 17,800 of their HMO members. And what they discovered was that a lot of these members, they had some chronic illnesses. You know, they were dealing with obesity, with lung disease, cancer, Alzheimer's. They were dealing with these issues. And the survey helped track that these adverse childhood experiences, these things that they were exposed to, these indicators, really was the cause. Like, you know, it's like it was the cause, right? So there is numbers to it to find out what your score is. You know, did I experience, you know, the different amount of abuse, neglect, dysfunctional household? However, it doesn't share, like the survey doesn't adequately assess the intensity, how intense was this exposure to trauma, how intense was the event, how frequently was the event, and how chronic was the event. You know, how often did it happen? You know, was it real? You know, how serious was it? You know, so it doesn't, you know, it doesn't count that. So you know, your body will know though. So let's help the parents out with some kind of prevention, you guys, with abuse and neglect. You know, what could a parent do? So how can a parent prevent sexual abuse of their child? So if we think about stuff,
more aware.
Huh?
No, I was saying being aware of who's around their children.
Right.
Okay. So go deeper. I'm sorry, girl. You know, I'm gonna tell us more.
Run a background check. How about that? No, but you just gotta be more aware, like, huh? And be more like where your children are going. Like, I don't having those in-depth conversations that, you know, we feel are uncomfortable, I guess, speaking to our child with, and or like you say, the open questions, so they be able to, you know, answer, and you're able to gain more information about it. But it can be like from children at school, coaches, parents, relatives. Like, you have to be so aware about children, even going to friends' houses. You don't know what's going on at the friend's house.
So listen, so how parents, and I didn't mean to cut you off because I'm gonna lose what I was. I need to take.
No. Go ahead. You know, I know you're maybe going. So
ADHD.
Giving you your little. I know you.
Shout out to everybody tuning in. Please be sure to share. Just take a second and just share so other people can really tune in. But Child Abuse and Neglect Prevention Month. So we're breaking down these indicators of these ACEs and how they can be prevented. So with child abuse, right? So, you know, the child is in different environments or whatever. So protecting them from different people. But the parent can't always protect the children, right?
Right.
So how do we then? Because that has to, you know, telling a child, we talked about this last week, allowing a child to say no or identifying with their body parts, what's off limits.
Right.
You know?
Right. And that has to start really early, you know, letting them know, you know, that people can't touch you in these places, and really just kind of creating an open culture with our kids where they will come to us and tell us things. You know, and that's important. That's important.
That's a trauma-informed practice. And it's so important. Like relationships, connectedness, creating a safe place, right? You got to build that relationship with your baby. So that's important. You were going to say something, Fatima?
And being able to listen. The parent got to be able to listen for the child to feel comfortable with, you know, coming to them. You can't shut the child down on everything that they saying, or, you know, reject. Oh, well, you know, how parents, or, you know, we sometimes you got to be able to listen to the child.
Yeah.
And take heed their emotions and how they feeling and everything.
Yeah.
That's important. So
And then
This
like
child.
I laughed at Rain. Rain 3 years old, and she knows about her body part. And I talked to her about, if she or whatever, and it goes to the extreme sometimes. She'll let you know you can't touch me, or you can't see me, or get out, or it'd be so funny, especially like when she with her dad or whatever, because she'll tell like turn around or no, or it's interesting. Yeah,
That's
starting
good.
at a young age is definitely important.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's important. That is. That's good. So that's sexual abuse. So physical abuse, right? So with physical abuse, right? That's parents. It could be aunties, uncles,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, so thinking of shoot, I'm thinking about our parents who used to get whipped, right? They went to Catholic schools. I want to say Mama said how the nun was able to
Yeah.
whoop them and stuff. You know, that was
With them
abuse,
with the
right?
ruler. Hmm.
So
Right.
how do we find better ways to discipline a child than having to be caused any kind of physical harm? So what would any of y'all suggest? What would you suggest? Y'all that's tuning in, y'all can chime in. Y'all can share
Y'all can
whatever y'all
suggest
need to
some
share.
things too, please.
We need to hear this. We need to throw it up on the screen. What would you suggest? What does it look like? What would you suggest for a parent to do, or what have you done to prevent physical abuse on your child? I mean, we thought to. I used to whip my son's ass. I did. I used to do it. I
Yeah.
did. So I don't do it no more. He know what abuse is. Like, so,
Yeah.
he knows. Pops.
I feel like it's the parent, like when we get, I don't know what it could be of our emotions, when our emotions start flaring to where we're
Yeah.
gonna get angry or be, we need to learn how to self regulate ourselves and stop, for a moment, because it's all based on us hitting the kid, hitting the child. So it's us, because we be having that built-up frustration. Say for instance, if we say something over and over again and they not listening, okay, now you reached your boiling point. Okay, well now you reached that
Right.
boiling point. You need to count to 10, calm yourself down a bit, go for a walk, something. I don't know, but
So yeah.
to prevent the
Yeah. And that takes
Displacement.
practice. It takes practice.
yeah,
A whole
yes,
lot of practice.
It does. It takes a
It
lot
does.
of
because
practice.
in some households it's drug. Like if the parent is intoxicated, like it's so many factors that play a part in that.
What do you think about
In
Brother
the abuse.
Martin? Brother Martin said the parents need to be at home with their children. Let me tell you something, Brother Martin. You're not in the
Was he at home with
40s.
his children?
You're not in the 50s, sir. You're not in the. This is not the 40s. This no. Okay. We would have loved that
Was he
because
at
he would
home with
just.
his children?
And then
Was he
and the
at home with
reality
your
of it
children?
is, even in the 40s and the 50s, people were still being sexually
Right.
assaulted. They were still being molested. And
Oh, that was good.
this is why we have generational, this stuff is generational. It's
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
generations of families. I was reading an article, and it was a family of women, and they had all been molested by this same man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from the grandmother to the mother and then to the granddaughter, they had all been molested by this same man. So it is
Wow.
more than just staying at home with our kids, because we can keep them at home. We can keep them at home. We can keep them in the house. You can keep them locked up. We can never go nowhere. And, something can still happen to them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's
Right.
more than just us being at home, because in reality, every one of us can't stay there.
I'm
Working
sorry.
and
I went
stuff. Right.
to mom and my daddy.
Sometimes it's
They
both of the parents that work.
Yeah.
look at him.
Yeah.
Look at
And you feel bad about that, right? If something happens to you, you're like, oh my gosh, I can remember feeling horrible when this daycare
Right.
would call when I would be at work. Because now I got to tell these people that I need to leave work to go get my kid. But I've got to do it. But I felt
Mm-hmm.
horrible. So it's not like, people are just, we just leaving the kids and we just want to leave them there. It's like when you're doing what you have to do. And unfortunately, sometimes things happen. We can't be there 100% of the time. So I think that's where we just have to just make them be aware. But now I've been hearing, I have too many women that come to me in private about being sexually assaulted as a kid by a stepdad. I mean, just more women than that should be coming to me. That look the part, look good, on the outside, living life. You would never think it. They were successful and stuff, and they're carrying this secret. I hear about it all the time, and they be right in their own house, right in their house, right in their house.
So, wow. So I'm just thinking about so this is why why it's so important, right? So, hearing from people, this is so important, I swear. So hearing from people who have had these experiences and asking them, who would you have needed, or what could I have done to prevent that from happening to you? Because like you said, yes, it could be in your own home. There's a party. I mean, y'all, I keep my trauma lenses are always, my trauma lenses all the time. I'm watching movies like Respect. And when you see Aretha Franklin, all that stuff she experienced, and when you watch What's love got to do with it? You like, oh my gosh, Tina
Turner,
anime, so much stuff.
Yeah.
And her mom left her dad, took her sister. The mom took her sister, but left her there with the grandma. So she had abandonment issues. She didn't know, she was too young to know that her dad was abusing her mom. She had no clue, and then she attracted the same kind of man that her mama was dealing with. Same thing happened to Aretha Franklin. She had two older sisters. She's the baby girl. And she did not know. Her sister's like, what? You didn't know what happened? And she dealing with this man that's just beating her up. Ain't that a trip?
Yeah.
So what was my whole point? So
no, that, I mean, it passes down.
How you always got your lenses down. How you always got your
trauma lenses. But no, I do the same thing. I'm always looking at things through a trauma lens. And yeah, like those things happen. Those things happen. And then they were it was normalized. It was normalized. So often when I hear people say like, well, how do we need to go back to the old days? And I'll be like, do we really? We need to go back to when everything was a secret.
But it's always the men.
Right. We need to go back to when everything was a secret.
Why is it that men, why don't we train these boys, to act correctly with women? Because I don't know if it's just something, like you said earlier, that men think differently, but they need to be taught something. These men is out of control. I was watching the video over on Instagram, 17-year-old girl. Some. But I was watching a video over on Instagram of a 17-year-old girl in a community gym. And the old man was hitting on her. And he was telling her to get out the gym. She was working out. She wasn't even doing anything but working out. But he telling her, well, you need, and she didn't record his face, but she recorded everything that he was saying to her and how rude he was. She was like, well, I'm 17 and you're trying to hit on me. And people's like, well, you need to get out of here. You need to to control yourself.
Looking at that through the lens of trauma, right? Really, I swear I'm knowing how to profile people. So let me tell you, for the behaviors. Listen, he obviously dealt with a lot of rejection when he was younger, right? What y'all think? Because he's getting rejected. He thinking this little girl or whatever, and she, like, no, and then now he rejected, and he like, now he's trying to have some control over it, right? What? Right. Do y'all agree? No?
I'm just
agree.
Saying,
the control was telling her.
So that's the sexual abuse, right? So we said the physical abuse, sexual abuse. Emotional abuse. How can we prevent that?
Ooh. Gosh, I believe that when it comes to parenting, that starts with us.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we aren't regulated, how can we expect our children to be regulated?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
starts with us, and then it trickles down. So
Mm-hmm.
it starts with us, because I think that if you've experienced a lot of trauma, like I'll speak for myself, I wasn't aware of a lot of the things that I had experienced. Like some stuff, it was just normal to
Mm-hmm.
me. Like I didn't even think that it was trauma. I didn't think that it was a big deal. And I had a lot of things that I had suppressed. I mean, a lot, like
Mm-hmm.
a lot. And so I just functioned. So I think I just was a functioning person. I still worked, took care of my kids, did these things. Like I think I looked the part, but I was struggling.
Mm-hmm.
And when I think back to how I was as a parent, like, yeah, I was there. I was always there. I was always taking care of my kids, always there. But was I really present? It's kind
Mm-hmm.
of hard to be. Like, I'm working all these hours. Then I was going to school because my whole thing is I'm providing. I'm going to make a better life for them. We're going to have better things than what I had as a kid. But I got all this stuff that I'm dealing with or not dealing with when I'm working,
Right.
going to school. When I come home, I'm tired. I'm not even really fully available. Like I'm depleted.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a form of emotional abuse. Like that's a form of abandonment.
So the emotional neglect piece,
The
because
neglect.
you mean well. Like,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of parents totally mean well, but have no idea that they are emotionally neglecting their children. They're not asking their children, "How was your day?" I'll be guilty of that sometimes. Like we
Yeah.
just working hard, but you know what? And it sucks.
We all do.
But I was just about to say, we just finding time management. But the life of a single parent, man,
Yeah.
it is tough.
Yeah.
It is so tough, and to be able to navigate through work and you got parents that's working, going to school, just doing a lot of things
Mhm.
to better their lives, better themselves, improve their quality of life, doing all that they can,
Yeah.
mean well, but in the process, neglecting their child, man.
Yeah. And then you're neglecting because you're neglecting yourself. Like so,
Yep.
especially if you're a person that has all this trauma and you ain't deal with nothing ever. So when I think back to like how I was, I know like, oh man, like I didn't even realize that I was a whole hot mess. Like a whole hot mess. And then when I even realized what I was carrying, I'm like, okay, then dang, how was I really showing up? And
Hmm.
it was
Hmm.
Right.
ugly. It was ugly. It may not have looked like that to other people because, see, we know how to mask things. Oh, because I am
Mm-hmm.
fun. Like
Mm-hmm.
Kiki. Oh, Kiki was in full effect. So that's when I was partying. That's when, because sometimes we'll substitute true joy for fun.
Hmm.
You feel like you need to have fun all the time. So I was at what Martini Mondays, Turn Up Tuesdays, What's Up Wednesdays, Throwback Fridays, what Throwback Thursdays, Freaky Fridays, Sexy Saturdays, Slow Down Sundays. Like I was a partier. I was a mom and worker by day and a partier by night because I felt like, okay, well, I'm taking care of home now. I can do me because there was something within me lacking. So that temporary rush that you get from
Yeah.
partying, even let's just even say like lust, like sexual activity, that temporary
Hmm.
high and
Right.
feeling that you get from that, where it's like, oh, okay, I'm popping, I can do this, I'm doing me. But
Hmm.
then at the end of the day, you're empty. I
Hmm.
went home
Right.
empty and
Hmm.
Right.
unsatisfied with the life that I was living. But on the outside looking in, it seemed like, oh, she got a job, she got her kids, everything looked great. But I knew on the inside I was empty. I didn't know what was wrong. I didn't know what was wrong, but I knew that I felt empty. But if I just kept doing these things, I'm gonna just party and kick it. I mean, I was everywhere. I did everything. And I was self-destructing, like wasn't dealing with nothing, no therapy, no nothing. Like I kicked it. That's what I did. But that's also something that I learned from my family. Like I come from a family of partiers. Like so now that I look at things through a trauma-informed lens and I know my family's history, like I can go back like to my great grandparents, and I thank God for that because I used to spend a lot of time with my grandparents on my maternal and paternal. So I know some things. So now that I'm able to process my grandmother's and my great grandmother's pain and things that they went through, then I look at my family like how we just party all the time, like how we just listen. I come from a turn up type family, but now I'm like, damn, but when do we ever deal with our stuff?
Then we're gonna party it off. We're gonna sing it up.
That's what you do.
We're gonna
party it up.
Sex it away. What's that one song that Solange got?
Solange, that song is facts. That song is facts. We're gonna shop it away. We're gonna sex it away. We're gonna drink it away. We're gonna do whatever it is. They're temporary. Like I can remember just feeling like I needed to get away so much before when I go on girls trips, right? And it would be times that I would go, I ain't even really have no money to be going nowhere. Like I'm a single mom. This was way back in the beginning of my career. I didn't make that much money and I just needed to party. I just needed to kick it. So here I am in New Orleans and I ain't got no money. I'm like, I'm just trying to hold on to like, if I could just hold on to this $25 because I got to pay for baggage to get back home. Like on some real stuff. Like that's what I did. But it was like, I had that need to my priorities was messed up. I need to party it away. Because at home, I was in an abusive relationship. So if I could party it away, it's going to be fine for this weekend. But then at home, I got to go home and live this life. But this weekend, I'm turning up. I'm living a rock star life with no money. You know, but how many people do that and won't admit it? Like how many people working about flexing than healing? Because a healed person wouldn't do that. And when you're healed, like I've turned down so many trips lately. Cause I'm like, no, that's not in my budget. Like I have goals. Like I just moved. I can't do that. But back in the day, I wouldn't been thinking about nothing like that. But like I said, that's when you're not healed, you feel the need to flex. So
I remember not being able to travel and stuff like that. Now I'm like, I got a homegirl. I love her so much because we're going to Vegas, DC. And she's like, let's catch the jet. Let's catch a jet. Let's catch a jet.
Ooh.
She's so funny. She is hilarious. Like,
and that's how it should be. That's how it should be.
That's the life, man. But my dad said, where did all that begin? So, and you know what? We really do need to do a book club for with post-traumatic slave syndrome. We really should do a book club with that because it do go far, like our DNA, just slavery. That's where it all starts from. Just all of it, the abuse, the physical neglect, when slaves was getting whipped and everything, where was they going to get care? They didn't have access to no care, no health care. They were emotionally abused, called out their name, humiliated, they were emotionally neglected. Like, and I'm just thinking about, as far as with the emotional abuse, being humiliated, emotional neglect and all that, feeling as if you're not important, like you're not loved. That stuff does a lot. That would do a lot to anybody,
Can you imagine? And then, then with not being able to even express your emotions. So the parents, you're just trying to keep your children. You just want them to live. So you've got to teach them to push their stuff down. Like we've been pushing stuff down for a long time. We've been pushing stuff down for a long time. And I mean, our as Black people, we just got this thing, like even with the whooping, like we're it's learned behavior.
It is. We see it. You seeing it, and it's just everything. It's community of self. We seeing the stuff. Yeah. We hearing stuff. We feeling stuff. We touching stuff. Yeah. This. Yeah.
So it's important to just understand like your ACEs and all this stuff, because we want to be able to stop it. Like what you were saying earlier is we want to lower the ACEs scores for the next generation. Like I loved when you said that, because that's what it's really all about. Like if we can understand ours, we can help our children. Like there was something that happened and I told my friend, with my kid, I said, I'm going to step back from this. I was like, because I don't want to do anything that's going to cause them any more harm. Like, I don't want to traumatize my child any further. Whereas a lot of times, we can be like, these kids do something. I brought you in this world. I'll take you out. I'll drag you and do all these things. And it's like, no, like we got to stop that. We've got to stop that. We've got to learn how
awareness
to play better. Yeah.
Awareness is very important.
And that's what we're doing. All we're doing out here is doing what we can to create a trauma-informed culture, right? That's what we're doing, right? We're not playing. We want. Huh?
I said we're not playing.
We're not. Hey, Desi, how you doing? My score was high. Let me tell you what we learned today, though, Miss Desi. My score was high, that my son's is lower. It's
my raise is lower. Is it lower one? Yeah, that's what we want. That's what we want. That's what we want for our children. And I say our children, I mean all of our children, because we are responsible for one another. Is we want them to have lower ACE scores. We want them to not have these same indicators as us. We do. We do.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. No. Go. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, because like I have, she's not even, I don't even know if she's on here, but one of the clients in the program, she's a 10 out of 10. And I know her, she has, really anxious, but to see her now just over, I mean, she's been in it from the beginning, and to see her over these, past 6-7 months, the way that she's grown. And I was talking to her the other day, and she's taken her GED. She's taken all of her tests, and she took one the other day and she failed by 2 points. But she was crying. I said, but that's okay. I was like, is she going to pass the next time? I was like, that's only 2 points. And it was the hardest one. It was her math one. But she cried and she said, I just want to do things. I just want to make myself proud. She had me crying because the fact that she just her mindset is beginning to shift. I'm just so proud. Like, and it just make me just like, that's why I love the program. Like, the community matters. Like, what they say, 70% of what we know comes from our own personal experiences. That's why you need to understand your history, understand your ACEs, know what's going on with you. 10% comes from what we learn in these little books. So we can go to school all we want or whatever. But another 20%, that's from our community. So our experiences and community account for more than what we're going to read in a book. Community matters. Like, who you hang around matter.
All that stuff. I think about life experiences.
Like, for real.
All this stuff we able to share, y'all. Okay. I just got my little degree in child development and family services, but I learned a lot, though, through my studies. And with it relating with being a child care provider. So even just seeing the stuff, in the child care, but having my own life experiences. Man, life experiences were important than, I'm sorry. If you could have the life experiences and the education and stuff like that, ooh, you dynamite.
Right. That's us. That's us on this screen right now. Yeah. Like when you can make the connection, because that's what I love about studying trauma. It helps me.
Wait, one of y'all got the echo? Is somebody watching the show?
Mm-mm.
Neither one of y'all watching?
No.
Mm-mm.
No. It was Fatima.
That's you?
No, you buzzing me.
It's when you start talking, Kijasa.
That was just you. It did it when you just talked.
Is it me?
I don't hear it anymore.
I don't talk long. On my phone. You on your phone, Kijasa? You better not be on your phone.
No, I'm not. I'm on my laptop.
That's funny.
Yeah, I'm on my laptop.
So look, when we talk about the because y'all, it is y'all. Okay, we just need to just have this conversation about racism. Period. Okay, these systems, just how it is. Really, like racism was a system, and then things are just going on and on and on. I'm just saying, as far as with trauma, right? But the key thing, really, also, I believe, because people should. I don't like that.
Me neither. But
I think that's Fatima.
I don't know why you want to point the blame at me. Hold yourself accountable.
Fatima didn't say anything.
Who is it? So,
just go ahead and roll with it. We good.
Her phone. It's her mic. It is. It's her mic. But we have to like the coping skills, like how we cope with trauma. So as I was sharing earlier, so we were talking about the emotional intelligence. We're really talking about the bounce back intelligence, because when there's the self-awareness piece, you have to being self-aware is knowing knowing why you respond the way you do, why you have these beliefs and thoughts and all of that.
Yeah.
All that is traced to your trauma.
Yeah.
Okay? You ready to fight somebody because they mugging you. They remind you of your daddy or your mama or something. You got somebody calling you a name or something that your mama or your daddy or somebody in the community or at school used to call you, and you don't like it. You hear it. Somebody using a certain tone that you don't like. So then now you ready to fight or whatever, or ready to cry, because it could be fight or flight, right? So you either ready to fight or you're ready to cry. But where's the in between? Where's that window of tolerance? When do you pause long enough and give yourself enough time to really feel the emotions, or why am I feeling this way that I'm feeling? And then how do you address it? How do you face it? And then to even recall when it comes up again, to be able to manage the emotions that comes with that trigger. So if we know how to manage our emotions, that comes with a certain trigger. But you got to be able to label it, right? That was good.
That was very good. That was very good. No, because you have to be able to label it. You have to be able to label it, because I think sometimes we think that once you become trauma informed, or you go to therapy, or you do all these things, that everything just goes away, and that you just never have these feelings, and your schemas just disappear. And that's not true. That's not true. It's not true. Like what they said, we have a thorn in our side. Well, we have a thorn in our side that keeps us humble, like it's in the Bible. So and I equate that to, there are things that I'm always gonna feel. It's gonna always, thorns don't feel good. But there's some things that I'm going to remember, but it doesn't have to take me down and keep me stuck. It doesn't have to have me, running in a corner or being, afraid or anything like that. It's just me knowing that, like, okay, I have this, this going on. And so I know that sometimes, I may feel abandoned. This may be, part of my abandonment issues. Like, I don't like being ghosted. That's the thing for me. Like, I don't like, if you don't return my phone calls, but then I had to go deeper with it. Okay, I don't like that feeling of rejection.
Yep.
I don't like how that feels. I don't like how, it feels to feel like someone's abandoning me. That's what that is. So being able to articulate yourself, and I think that will help us be able to function better in relationships when you can explain to your partner, and hopefully, there's someone that's emotionally intelligent or trying to become, where you can say, okay, this is why I act like this. This is why I do these things.
Right.
This is why, sometimes, like, I had a friend, her boyfriend did something to her, and it wasn't a big thing, but because she has some trauma, he was out of there. Like, she blocked him and it was done. And so I was like, well, wait a minute. And then we talked about what he did, and I said, ma'am, I was like, I think you need to unblock that man. I was like, I don't think that's what he meant. I was like, but you have to remember that you've got these things and you've had these experiences. So it's going through your filters. So you may have interpreted it a different way. And so since you've got these, that fight or flight, that flight, I'm out. When you say I'm going to dump him before he hurts me. We'll do
that. Right.
You know what I'm saying? We'll do that. Like, we'll self-sabotage. I'm the dumper. I am not the dumpy, right?
Listen, let me tell you what I'm doing.
You're not about to do this to me.
No way you're going to do this to me. And it's not even that serious, right? A person cannot days out and typed up a text. Now, I used to send them. I used to be that chick that would send the story text telling all these. Now I don't do stuff like that. Like, now I'll just tell you straight up how I feel.
Period.
Yeah, I'll just tell you up front, I don't like this, you're being inconsistent.
Yeah. And then if you're telling somebody that, if you're talking to somebody and telling them that, and they got a problem with you expressing how you're feeling,
it's something with them.
Cut them off. Yeah. No, for real. Because if you sit up here really trying to express how you feel to somebody and they making it seem like you're the problem, they got some issues. They got some issues. Leave that alone.
But we all got trauma issues.
We
all of us is going through traumas. We all do. That's why self-awareness is so important.
Yes. There's different levels to it. There's levels to it. Look, I want to share this.
I agree with you.
I spoke at a council meeting last night because they have this ordinance, and I was talking. Brandon was in the car, so I had on speakerphone, but I didn't even know really what was going on. I'm just hearing people speak up and talk about how they're trying to stop the secondhand smoking in multi-housing units or whatever. So in private projects or whatever, right? It's low income housing. Really, this is what it is. And so they're trying to stop it because they're saying that, secondhand smoke, the kids are exposed to secondhand smoke. And when these kids are exposed to secondhand smoke, it causes heart disease. It causes cancer. It causes lung cancer, right? So I'm listening to all of this stuff, right? And I'm listening to both sides because you even have dispensary owners coming on and saying how, don't criminalize us, because I think they get fined too or something, can't be selling vapors and all of that stuff. So I'm listening to them, right? And then I'm thinking about how they're talking about how it's low income people, poverty, and how they may get evicted and stuff like that if they're smoking, if they're caught smoking or they'll get fined, right? So then now you're putting them in more debt, right? So I'm listening to both sides. So I come on there and I'm like, I hear both sides, both concerns, from each side. I understand, I hear you guys, you're talking about, people that are impacted, people on low income, poverty, people of color, I hear this, and then I hear the health side of it. It causes lung cancer, it causes heart disease. What was another one they said it caused? But it caused all these health issues. I said, do you guys know what's another thing that causes all these issues? trauma.
Mm.
I said, you guys have these trauma-filled communities, okay? Trauma-filled by design, and it causes toxic stress. You guys know what toxic stress causes? Cancer, lung disease, heart disease. I was like, so I think you ought to go deeper, okay?
Yeah.
Go deeper, because smoking is a response to trauma. And that's what I was telling you. It's a response to trauma. So let's go deeper. Let's change some systems. Let's bring in more programs to help people cope. Let's provide more resources in our communities. Let's do that. Okay. Then you may not see so much smoking, cigarettes.
They benefit off trauma. Like, I mean, this is the thing. Like, we've been knowing for a while that trauma, causes diseases. They benefit off trauma. They make billions off trauma. They want to prescribe the children with medication because they got ADHD. Like, that's probably one of my biggest pet peeves. Diagnosing these babies with ADHD. But then I'm looking at it like, okay, but they're living in a home where their mother is being abused. They're in an adverse community where they're hearing gunshots and stuff all the time. They got to lay on the floor all the time just to watch TV. This is their life.
Right.
Daddy may have got arrested, so they've got this stuff. So they're going to school. Of course they can't concentrate.
Right.
So, but then we immediately want to go and diagnose them with ADHD.
Yeah. They get them some
money. They make money.
Yeah.
They make money.
They need interesting things to do. And I say that just for me. I swear, ADHD, I swear. I can't stop. I swear, people with ADHD make the best entrepreneurs. Like, can multitask, all of that. You gotta really be able to give them something interesting to do. Like, you can't just sit still. You gotta be doing some doodling or something to keep them going. If you're trying to calm them down, then they need to draw or color something. But if you want to keep them going and interested, you gotta make it interesting for them. You have to. We got too many boring teachers, and we don't got the right people teaching our kids. I mean, that's what it is. Anyways, it's 8:29. So I mean, imagine how my little head is feeling right now from speaking at Dobby's and coming here. I am exhausted. Tomorrow's Thursday. Kids coming. I just thank God for the strength that He gives me. So
you doing it.
Any last things y'all want to say as far as child abuse and neglect prevention?
Compassion goes a long way. Having compassion, being able to listen to them babies, listen to when they're trying to speak and express themselves, and quit trying to, we think this.
Let me see how you look. Let me see if I can take a picture of how you look. Right now.
I understand that.
Dang it.
Oh, my eyes is going back.
It was like
but we
go ahead.
I learn how to be more compassionate and learn how to listen to these things. It's okay, because it's probably kind of slow as it is too. And being more self-aware of what we're doing and how our actions are. Taking a step back to figure out what emotions are we in at that moment and learning how to deal with them in a proper way. That's all.
Go keep going.
Gotta hold ourselves accountable.
Yeah, holding ourselves accountable. Like I said, I think it's important as parents. We know that it starts with us. Like, we're the leaders, of our family, and we've got to be able to regulate ourselves so that our children can be regulated. And I think that's a big part of understanding our own history, understanding our ACEs, understanding why we are the way that we are. And one thing that I have found when it comes to parenting, that anything that we have unresolved within us, it's showing up. in our children. So it's another opportunity for us to get it right. So often when we look at some of our children's behavior and we want to remove ourselves from it, or they got that from their daddy, or they got that from somewhere. They got some of that from us as well. And that's an opportunity for us to improve and grow and do better, because then they will. We're leading by example. Like, that is why God chose us to lead these children. So we want to set the right example, but we have that trauma. So, and last thing I'll say about trauma when it's passed down is, intergenerational trauma is like a job for the next generation. It's an unfinished task for the next generation. It's something that needs to be healed up. So that means that's something that we have to do, whether it means that we need to love ourselves more, forgive someone that hurt us, do something different so that we can break this cycle. Like, we got to do better. We got to lower these ACEs numbers, these ACEs scores for these children. That's what we need to do. And it starts with us. It does. It starts with us owning and acknowledging our stuff, and then getting with the right community. Get with you some people that's going to get you in the right place. Come on with us. Come to the Bounce Back. Right. Come join the Bounce Back community.
Listen, y'all. We need you, okay? Yes. To learn. You'll become a trauma-informed specialist. Like I said, all we're trying to do is create this trauma-informed culture. That's what we want to do. We want to see our parents, especially our single mothers, thrive and encourage them and all of that. Next we got coming up is Watch Me Grow Ministries. That's what we're going to play.
No.
Hold on.
So silly. I like that.
What?
No, we losing. I see we losing people. So before we lose people, we have a viewing next week, right? May 4th, Wednesday.
Oh yeah.
That's why I'm here. That's why God blessed you with me. I wish you'll understand that.
Show up for the viewing, y'all. Y'all want to see this. Y'all definitely want to see this film. Oh yeah.
Man.
Show up. Resilience, right? This is resilience.
Resilience screening. So we got resilience screening, y'all. We got an amazing panel with perspectives, different people, y'all, to sit on different levels. We got community, we got people on the ground, we got people sitting in office, and we're just bringing our perspectives together just because we just have to really understand. We have people in certain places that are making decisions for us and that really don't know what's going on the ground. And so this viewing is going to be in person and it's going to be virtually. So we'll be sure to save it. And anytime, any chance y'all get, we trying to, we building something over here, right?
Yes, we are definitely building something over here. For sure.
Playing. Y'all can always go check out the website Watch Me Grow Inc. to just find out more of what's going on, upcoming events. Fatima's gonna have it updated by the end of the night. But yeah, so thank you all for tuning in, and don't forget to meet us here. Are they meeting us here next week? You guys are not. I'm going to send you guys the information.
No, we won't be here next week. We're going to be here, right?
Yeah, we're not going to be here next week. We got people in the comments. I'm sorry. Oh, no. So, yeah, y'all. Yeah, we're not going to be here next week. We're going to be doing a showing. So I'm going to make sure I get people the link. Tomorrow, the link will be up on our website so that you can get the information about it. So you guys have a good night. Thank you again for tuning in.
Good night.
Good night.
I'm so sleepy.
I'm hella sleepy. Hold on, I want you to meet Rhonda. Have you met Rhonda before? Did I do that? Hold on. Did I do that?
You so sleepy.
I am. I want you to meet Rhonda.
Okay, reliable.
She coming on. We not live. We still live? Why did in the broadcast? Girl about to sit up here and eat my food. I didn't say nothing crazy, did I? Oh my gosh, I can't believe we're still live. I'm tired. Oh my gosh, I'm tired.
I said,
Brother, check your text. Why you didn't end it?